It's kind of wild, right? Like how many scams are lurking online these days?
Mm.
You see those shady ads, those clickbait links. It's like a minefield out there.
It really is. It's overwhelming sometimes.
Totally. But what's even more messed up is how this digital deception, it preys on people who are already going through the ringer. Folks who are at their most vulnerable.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're diving into today, actually. The way online scams and misinformation specifically target stroke survivors.
Hmm.
It's rough stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to be taking a deep dive into a really powerful piece called Snake Oil. It's an excerpt from Memoir of a Stroke Survivor by Akili Ka. Have you read it?
I haven't, no.
Akili Ka, they really don't hold back. They give
Yeah.
you this raw, honest look at how treacherous social media can be after a stroke.
I can imagine.
Yeah, like imagine you're scrolling through your feed, just looking for a bit of hope, maybe a way to connect with others who get it.
Yep.
And suddenly you're bombarded with these ads for miracle cures, unsolicited advice, products peddled by these like self-proclaimed gurus.
Right, yeah.
It's predatory, plain and simple.
Oh, absolutely. And stroke survivors are often in such a vulnerable state after experiencing something so life-altering.
Exactly. Akili Ka actually says it perfectly in Snake Oil. There's this line that just hit me hard. Do not offer your false hope, tainted by greed and ignorance of my condition.
Wow.
It's like the audacity, right,
Yeah.
to try and profit off someone's pain and fear during recovery. It's infuriating.
And, that's actually what makes this so widespread. It's the vulnerability that comes after a stroke. You're dealing with a sudden life-altering event. There's fear, uncertainty, maybe even desperation to get back what was lost. And on top of that, many stroke survivors, they face isolation during recovery.
Yeah.
So you combine all those factors.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it creates this, prime target for these people who just want to exploit hope and fear.
It's like they forget there's an actual human being on the other side of the screen.
Exactly.
Someone grappling with this huge life change.
Absolutely. And, these snake oil accounts, they often resort to very specific tactics. They'll promise these unrealistic results. They use very emotionally charged language, but there's often zero, credible medical backing for their claims.
So it's like buyer beware times 1,000.
Exactly. Critical thinking is essential in these situations.
For sure. And if something sounds too good to be true,
Right.
it probably is.
It probably is.
So, okay, what can people do? Our listeners, if they or someone they love has had a stroke, how can they protect themselves from falling into these traps?
Well, first off, be wary of accounts using those tactics we just discussed.
Yeah.
Outlandish claims, emotional manipulation, that sense of urgency to buy now.
Right.
Always check for credible sources. Do they cite legitimate medical research? Or are they just relying on random testimonials and anecdotes?
Ah, I see.
Look for certifications. Are they affiliated with any reputable organizations? Those are always good signs.
Those are good things to look out for. And I think it's interesting what Akili Ka says, their call to action is actually for silence from people who don't truly understand.
Right.
It's kind of a powerful sentiment.
Yeah, and sometimes the absolute best thing we can do is simply listen, validate what they're going through, and just offer genuine support.
Right.
Rather than jumping in with unsolicited advice or pushing products.
For sure.
But on a practical level, if you do encounter these predatory accounts, report them.
Yes.
Social media platforms need to be held accountable for allowing this kind of exploitation.
100%. This has been such a thought-provoking deep dive.
Yeah,
It really makes you think about the weight of our words online,
it does.
especially when we're talking about something as sensitive as health information.
Mhm.
It makes you wonder, how can we cultivate more empathy, more responsibility in those digital spaces,
Yeah.
especially when we're interacting with vulnerable communities? It's definitely something to think about, the next time you're about to share something online. Just ask yourself, is this helpful? Is this kind? Is this true?
Is this true?
Mm.
It's a good question to ask.
It is.